Alright, this is Ubaid on behalf of Electronics, and in this video we'll be talking about the law of large numbers as well as bias when it comes to outcomes. Alright, so starting with the law of large numbers. Okay, this is a theory if not a law, which basically says, okay, this is more of a law, which basically says that as you experiment more and more, okay, as you try more and more, as you um, toss the coin, okay, every now and then, okay, you become or you come closer and closer to theoretical probability. Okay, so as the frequency of the experiments go up, okay, the outcome, okay, become closer and closer to theoretical probability. So let's say your hypothesis was heads, okay, and let's say you wanted 80% of the coins that you toss in the air as heads. So in that case, if you kept tossing the coin, okay, more and more, let's say you toss the coin 10 times, okay, the possibility of you landing heads 80% of the time will be much higher. The possibility of you landing 8 heads will be much higher. If you were to toss the coin 100 times, it's possible that 80% of those times you will land a head. So the law of large number basically says that as okay, you increase the frequency, bump the frequency up, increase the frequency. As you increase the frequency, okay, of okay, your experiments, for example, or your trials, is the same concept as an innovation or invention, for example. Okay, let's say a person was to invent a light bulb. The more he tries to invent the light bulb, the more the experiments, the more the trial and error, the better the chances of okay, inventing the light bulb or landing on the result. Okay, so frequency of your experiments. Okay, the better chances. Okay, the better the chances of getting the results. Getting the results. Okay, or getting closer to theoretical probability. Okay, getting closer to theoretical probability. All right, now apart from that, you also have bias outcomes. So you have bias outcomes. What does that mean? So in terms of bias outcomes, we're basically saying that an outcome or a result may be biased based on the conditions or based on uncontrolled or controlled events. Okay, so an outcome may be biased. May be biased. So maybe one-sided, for example. Okay, based on the conditions or the environment of the venue where the experiment is carried out. Okay, conditions of the stage or venue where the experiment is carried out. Okay, so this has to do with bias outcome. All right, so say for example, if you were to roll your dice, okay, and let's say the markings on the dice, they're made by drilling a hole, taking the material out, okay, and then marking the sides, okay, marking the total numbers on the dice. Okay, in that case, the dice may be lighter on one side and maybe heavier on the other side. Okay, so the total amount of material that you may have taken out, let's say because of the number six, okay, maybe more than the total material that you took out of the face of a dice because of the number one. Okay, which means that when you roll the dice, it's possible that the dice may land on either number one or number six because of the weight differences. All right. If you were to play a sport, for example, if you were to play cricket, and let's say you were to play on a pitch which is dry, okay, and the weather is nice and sunny, it's possible that the batting team, the one with a good lineup of batsmen, may be able to perform better. Whereas if you were to, okay, play on a pitch which is humid, okay, and let's say it rained a couple hours earlier, as a result of which the pitch is favorable for bowlers because the ball, okay, the cricket ball does not come onto the bat that easily. It slips, as a result of which there is a higher probability of getting caught, okay, by the wicket keeper or by the slip, okay, or by one of the fielders, okay, as a result of which, okay, this pitch may be favorable for bowlers or the bowling team. So the team that has a good lineup of bowlers has a higher probability of winning the game, whereas for the dry pitch, a team with a good lineup of batsmen may have a higher probability of winning the game. Okay, the same can be said of soccer. Okay, if you have a team that plays, okay, on a ground where the climate, okay, the weather is dry and humid, okay, this ground, okay, may be more favorable for a team that comes from a country that's used to, okay, playing in these conditions. If the weather is not very dry and humid, let's say it's cold, okay, it's possible this weather may be favorable for a country or a team, okay, that, with a home country where the climate is cold and is extreme. All right, so in that case, the country that's used to cold and extreme climate may be able to perform better than the country that is not very used to the cold and extreme climate. All right, so these are some examples relevant to bias outcomes. Okay, when it comes to sports, when it comes to sports betting, when it comes to gambling, when it comes to playing games, board games, for example. Okay, so on and so forth. Okay, so that would be it for this video. On behalf of Real Electronics, this is Ubay. Have yourself a great day.